What's up, my friends? You know who this is. It is Dr. Remy LeBeau. I'm here once again in the X lair with something very, very impressive. I'm sure you guys are already impressed just by taking a gander over at this part of the screen. Indeed, it is it's actually not an officially produced X-force Archangel statue. What it is, it's the Bowen Archangel statue that I had actually repainted into the X-force colors, and I also had the wings chromed in order to give it that extra sort of metallic and kind of deadly effect. And so what you're seeing is the final product of a lot of effort to get this guy converted into something bigger and I would say more awesome than the original version that was released by Bowen Designs. So let me just give you a quick twirl here. It's kind of shiny. It's a little bit shiny. So you'll notice in the back that I don't have like the extra parts of the wings on it. I don't like the extra parts of the wings, so I kind of leave them off. But oh, you can see the exposure is kind of changing a bit because the light is being reflected. It's pretty cool actually. Um, I like it just with the wings as they are without the extra part, and you don't really see the back from the display, at least as far as the way I have them displayed. So it works like this. I also have the regular Archangel without that small part either. Also because it just, I don't know, it kind of feels like it's something extra that doesn't necessarily need to be there in my opinion. And so since I have the option to not have it there, I choose not to. Of course, anyone can do whatever they'd like to do with their statues. So I thought that I would feature this guy right now because actually this week, so right now it is like the last week of April in 2013. This week, Bowen Designs is actually releasing their version, their official version of X-force Archangel. With that one, it's going to be slightly different than this one, but it is a variation on the original Archangel statue that was released, which this is essentially that statue just with different colors. What's different is the paint job is different, obviously. There's kind of like a rusted effect to the base, kind of like a rusty metal. The colors on the statue are pretty much the same. One of the hands is extended out, and the hands kind of have like clawed tips, so it's slightly different in that way. The wings are gonna have like individually more sharper sort of edges, so that's kind of like a cool extra effect. The eyes are red, and I think that's pretty much it. I think there's like a little bit more like a rusty sort of element to the paint job to kind of make them look a little bit more sort of like grungy and kind of evil in a way, I guess. So the guy who actually repainted the statue for me, Robert Guthrie, the guy that repainted X-force Psylocke for me, he actually, after having done this paint job, I think Randy Bowen liked the end result of this, like because I posted pictures online or whatever, and he actually commissioned Robert Guthrie, Rob out of New York, to paint him a prototype of Archangel in these colors. So actually, Rob did that for Randy. He liked it, and he wound up mass producing it. So finally, this week it's being released. People are going to start getting in the official version, and they're going to start posting pics. So it's going to be kind of like exciting as far as X-force Archangel statues go. It's going to be an exciting week. People are going to be getting theirs finally after waiting for a long time. Fortunately, I have not had to wait that long, and I actually chose not to get that one because I am super satisfied with the way this one came out. I'm really happy with the way it came out. You can tell that just by looking at it on the video, like it's just very impressive. It looks very cool, especially with the chrome wings, and you can kind of see him like reflected in the wings, which is really cool. And just the X-force colors are awesome, and they basically do the job of making him look like impressive in this costume, in this statue. So I'm satisfied. I'm not going to get the official one that's being released, but I am happy that other people are going to finally get this statue because it's a very cool statue and it's a very cool addition to an X-force display. Kotobukiya, the Japanese company that also started producing Marvel X-Men statues, actually Marvel statues, but also X-Men statues recently in the last few years, they actually released an X-force Archangel statue themselves. It's a cool statue. I like it. It was sculpted by Eric Sosa, who's a very talented guy. Personally, it's not something that I wanted to have in my collection. Also, mainly because I can't get every single statue that is produced, and I had already gotten this one, repainted and included into my collection, and I liked it. I liked the result that I got already, and so I didn't feel like I needed to, expand my collection to having multiple Archangel statues. So I'm in no way knocking the Kotobukiya one. It's actually a very popular piece. A lot of people liked it. The people that wound up actually buying it. Even so, like if I were to expand my X-force Archangel collection into multiple X-force Archangel statues, I would likely just get the one produced by Bowen, because it's not exactly this statue. It's slightly different, and I always prefer the Bowen design to other statue producers' designs. They usually tend to do a better job overall. I'm sorry, Kotobukiya, you're still in second place, but you're a close second. Close second, guys. All right. Now, as far as like the chroming of the wings, okay, so this is actually the very first X-Men statue I ever bought. Like when I first, figured, okay, I'd like to buy an X-Men statue. Like I remember going to the comic book shop, and they had Archangel. So this is originally, obviously, just an Archangel statue produced by Bowen Designs. I was very impressed by it. I got it. I loved it. I still love it. It's a statue that started it all. So like beyond it just being really cool as far as like what the metamorphosis led to, which you can see is just super cool. It's a really impressive piece at its core, and it has that extra special significance for me, being that it was the first Bowen design statue I bought. It was the first X-Men statue I bought. It was the first statue that got me into this hobby. So this statue is like super special piece in a variety of ways, not just the fact that it's amazing and it looks just spectacular. So the first thing I actually did to this statue was get the wings chromed. That was before I even considered turning into an X-force version of Archangel. So I got the wings chromed. There's this guy, his name is Gary Watson. He has a company called Creations in Chrome. And he, aside from doing like chrome paint jobs on like cars and all sorts of, different things that he might, that people commission him to chrome. Like he also chromes like a variety of Bowen statues, or like collectible statues. And if you go on his website, which I'll put a link to on my blog post, you can see that he's done other statues. People have sent him like Iron Man statues and like other Bowen statues that kind of have like metallic or like metal elements to them. Like he'll chrome some of those. Some end up being a little too challenging, because there's maybe too much separation between, and very detailed separation between the metallic elements and the non-metallic elements, which makes it extremely difficult to actually get the chroming right. So he actually turns some things down. But there's certain statues like like the classic Iron Man statue where he's basically all metal and it's pretty like monochromatic. Like that's a statue that's really easy to chrome. And actually there was an original Iron Man statue variant that was produced recently, maybe in the last year. It was a Collectors Club exclusive by Bowen Designs, meaning that if you were a member of his Collectors Club, which is $25 a year, which gives you 20% off of all the purchases direct from Bowen Designs, totally worth it for all domestic buyers. Only domestic buyers able to buy, unfortunately. If you're a member of that, then you are able to have access to these Collector Club exclusive statues that are put up for sale. A variant of the original Iron Man statue, the original design of Iron Man that came out in the original Avengers, a variant of that statue in which he was like in gold chrome paint was released through the website, Collectors Club exclusive, and it was actually chromed. It was in gold chrome paint, and that was done by Gary Watson in Creations in Chrome. So I think he did like 200 of them. I think there's 200 of those. So obviously the guy is known throughout the industry as being kind of like the guy to send something to that that deserves a proper chroming job. And you can see again You know, he did an incredible job on these wings. They look completely metallic, and they're exactly as they should be. You know, given that he has, you know, these techno-organic wings that Apocalypse gave him after, you know, after his wings were cut off during Mutant Massacre. So again, so once I got the wings chromed, I was super happy. It was just the regular blue and pink Archangel statue with the chrome wings. Had that in my display for a while. Loved it. This was like early on in my collection before I was like doing these like era themed sets, you know, 80s, 90s, X Factor, X-Force. Before I started doing that, it was just like, okay, I have an Archangel statue, I have a Cyclops statue, I have a Jean statue, and this was my Archangel statue, and it worked really well, and it had the chrome wings, and it was all good. As my collection started growing, you know, I started kind of getting ideas. Okay, what else can I do? Oh, and then I realized this would look really great as an X-Force statue. Actually, there was one dude online, I forget what his name is, but he actually painted the statue himself. He actually took the Bowen Archangel statue, and he actually painted it in a very similar way to this, to turn him into X-Force Archangel. And that is what got me thinking about it, and that inspired me to then commission Rob Guthrie to paint this for me. Now, what's really cool about this statue and this look is that it's just, again, so it's like everything goes back to decimation. Like when decimation occurred after House of M, when the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, says no more mutants, and you know the mutant population is decimated down to less than 200 mutants. You know, elements in the Marvel universe were looking to actually exterminate mutants. Now that there were only less than 200, they figured, okay, we can get rid of them completely. And so they actually started killing mutants. Cyclops then commissioned Wolverine to form this Black Ops team, X-Force, in order to then sort of counteract that sort of a deadly force that was like seeking to exterminate them by having them also employ deadly force in retaliation and in order to defend themselves. So this was actually the first issue here. There it is. And this is actually the variant that has them all bloody because, you know, it's like a bloody book. I don't remember exactly what year it is that it came out. I think it was like in 2005 or 6. I don't know exactly when. I have to check. And the very first story has to do with like Archangel. Like something's happening with Archangel. So what had happened was Apocalypse gave him the techno-organic wings, controlled him as Death, and then he broke the control of Apocalypse. He never truly came to understand like what the nature of this sort of mechanical new part of his body, like how it actually worked, the complete significance of it, the complete workings of it. Eventually, like he grew his wings back, and so for a while he didn't have his wings, the metallic wings. He was back to being normal angel. Everything seemed okay. Actually, he still had a blue face. And then in this series, finally he like becomes Archangel again, and he actually transforms into Archangel, either at will or out of his control. And he immediately like gets this costume, which is like black and silver, or black and white, or whatever colors these are actually supposed to be. So here's a cover. I think it's black and silver. So here's a cover featuring him, and you can see that it's kind of black and silver. So it just like this was the first time. First of all, it was like his sort of reemergence as Archangel, and his reemergence as Archangel was actually a lot cooler than his original emergence as Archangel. I love Archangel, but the blue and the pink elements, and I think the reason why he was blue and pink was, I'm gonna say it was because Louise Simonson was the artist in X Factor who originally created him, and I think kind of having like a more sort of like female aesthetic chose those colors, which are a little bit more sort of feminine, which is fine. They worked fine or whatever, but this is so much cooler. And I think everybody agrees. Like, this new Archangel with, black and silver is just so much cooler. It's still the original design, but it's just different colors, and it just makes him, like, exponentially cooler. He just looks so much cooler. Anyway, so the first story in X-Force Volume 3, I think it was, or it might have been Volume 4, because there might have been a miniseries at some point. Anyway, it had to do with like this sort of his power being either manipulated or just emerging in a different way. I think he was attacked. I think Ron Sinclair, Wolfsbane, was like taken control of by someone. I forget who it was. It might have been like I forget who it was, but it might have been Bastion actually. Maybe. But so she attacks him. And in defense, like, he all of a sudden becomes Archangel, and like he regrows his wings. This evil villain, whoever orchestrated the attack on him, was what they wanted to do was kind of take, like, whatever it was that caused that led to him, sort of that Apocalypse sort of changed in his biological makeup that allowed him to sort of grow these techno-organic wings and control them. Like, they were trying to get that technology and then use it, and they actually wind up doing it throughout this like 5 or 6 issue miniseries, which is actually very cool. 5 or 6 issue miniseries. They wind up actually taking this technology, and like some of their minions wind up growing like the same wings, and it becomes like this big ordeal where like X-Force is like fighting these this army of archangels essentially. And Archangel, he goes out of control, but eventually regains control. But as we all know, as at least the people that have followed, this story from that point to like the present, he eventually loses control. And what had happened is somehow like so there's like this thing called the Death Seed, and it is the core of Apocalypse. It is what gives him power, and it was given to him by the Celestials. And I'm pretty sure the Celestials, like these, omnipotent sort of celestial beings, their purpose was to have a being that on Earth that would sort of lead mutants to be the dominant species on the Earth. And so they give Apocalypse the power. When Apocalypse died, which I think happened during... it happened during the storyline where Hope was emerging, I'm pretty sure. Somehow, like, he either had the Death Seed in him, or there was something in him that sort of was meant to be triggered when Apocalypse died that would kind of start turning him into Apocalypse in a way. I think I have to read the stories again. I'm not completely up on the details. I didn't pay as much attention to it as I should have maybe. But so we know that there was like the whole Dark Angel saga and Uncanny X-Force, which was the follow-up series to this X-Force Volume 3 series. And in that series, actually, his design was a little bit different. He actually had an X emblem in his waist. And in that series, like, he actually emerges as like this villain, and is supposed to be sort of evolving to become like the new Apocalypse, and like all sorts of interesting things happen during that saga series. I really liked it actually. The Age of Apocalypse was engaged in an interesting way. I won't go into the details of that, but that was an element in that story. And then there was this really cool sort of situation that took place where I guess he and the people that he was working with, like this evil group of people that were kind of Apocalypse minions or Apocalypse's people working with Apocalypse, they set off some sort of bomb or something in like an area, I think it was in Texas or something, that created like this sphere in which inside of it, like, evolution just like within it, like, just exponentially move super quickly, and like it created this environment that was completely unique and new, and there were all sorts of like unique species in it, and that had just evolved instantaneously, and it was within this like realm, this area, that like he was going to like sort of hatch his master plan. And like I think it was meant to protect him and like his minions within this area as you know they do some horrific thing to the rest of the world, something ridiculously evil. And then what happens is Psylocke winds up taking care of things. Psylocke and him being sort of a couple. That it was a very dramatic sort of climax. I won't get into the details of it. I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it, but it like this Archangel, the Archangel you're seeing here, has been a super significant driving force of some of the more interesting X-Men stories in the last few years. So beyond him just being like a super cool looking Archangel and character and design, he actually, carries a lot of weight as far as like the stories and what's been happening and sort of the dramatic conflict that's been, like most memorable and significant and worth checking out if you haven't checked it out. So there's just a lot to this, what you're seeing here, beyond what you're actually seeing, even though what you're actually seeing is enough to just kind of make this like a really cool and unique thing. Like if you were not an X-Men fan, if you had no idea who the X-Men are or Archangel, I'm sure if you were just looking at this statue, you would be impressed by it, because it's just a super impressive thing. No matter how you look at it, it's just a super impressive thing, and I'm really happy to have it. I guess that pretty much does it. I'm really happy for everybody that is getting this statue. Actually, is there more than I need to talk about? No, I mean, I guess I'll talk about the actual statue itself, like the original design when I do the review of the original Archangel statue. I also have another statue of this guy that I got after I got this guy painted, and I actually got those wings chromed as well, and I'll be featuring that one soon. But I just kind of felt that it would be cool to sort of feature this guy this week, given that it is sort of like a big week for Archangel and for X-Force Archangel fans, given that everybody's actually going to finally be able to have this, a variant of this statue in their collection in their X-Force display, and it's super exciting. Thank you again for checking out my vid, for checking out my blog, for checking out my channel, and I have plenty more to come because, well, I can't help but show you my entire collection and kind of, introduce you to what's out there, why these things are important, and why I love them, and try to share that love with you guys. As always, X in the box, because ain't nobody checking me. I'll see you guys very, very soon. You guys have a good one, okay? Bye-bye.